Good morning. I'm John Taplin, the director of the Annenberg Innovation Lab, and it is my pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Annenberg School, Ernest Wilson.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here. We had a great launch last night, and it was really very exciting to see so many people from so many sectors and firms and institutions, but also from all around the world. And I know that there are people here from Brazil, who've flown in from Brazil, from France. I just met a comrade from Russia, and I want to welcome him to our sessions. I think today you're really in for a great treat. I think this is going to be a fun day for all of us. During the summit, you'll get a peek at some of the big ideas that our colleagues here at the University of Southern California have been working on just for about a year, just in the past year. In fact, it was just over a year ago that USC launched a new cross-disciplinary initiative to understand, discover, and invent new models for the ways in which people consume and use information. We named the program and the space that it occupies in the Annenberg School the Annenberg Innovation Laboratory. We were fortunate to have leaders such as Jonathan Taplin, my good friend and colleague, to lead us into the future, as he's been doing so effectively, and really to create an environment where creativity can be created and sustained. Because at universities, that's what we do. We create stuff, we create the creators, and then we diffuse the creation. And the Annenberg Innovation Laboratory is a great example of that. It really is a unique addition to USC's work because its focus is not on technological innovations, as important as they are, but on analytic work that leads to social innovation and to change. It leads to new business models, ideas, and understandings. The Innovation Lab utilizes art, science, design, and engineering to foster innovation in media, culture, and society, to develop projects with practical implication and social impact, and the intersection of science, technology, arts, design is our sweet spot. The lab is inclusive. It collaborates with students and faculty from 7 other schools across the campus, as well as with the USC Stevens Institute for Innovation. We are especially fortunate to have partnered with many private sector businesses, and I'm just going to rattle off some of them: Cisco, IBM, Verizon, Levi Strauss, Intel, DirecTV, EPB, Mattel, and Warner Brothers. And you can see it's a very interesting and heterogeneous group of forward-thinking companies. This will, we are convinced, lead to innovations that are unique and can only occur through collaboration between research centers, the private sector, nonprofit, NGOs, etc., about which we will hear more later. And it allows each of us in our own little silo to know what is going on in other parts of the universe. We are convinced that this is the way of the future. It's the way of the future for the entire world, it's the way of the future for universities, and it's certainly the way of the future for our students, our very talented students here at USC. And we believe that the Annenberg Lab is helping to create that future. We are extraordinarily excited that within 2 years, USC Annenberg will have a new academic building, not far from here, that will have open and collaborative spaces for both planned and deliberate interactions, but as importantly, for those serendipitous interactions that lead to so much innovation. And as we design the new Wallace Annenberg Hall, we look to the Annenberg Innovation Laboratory as inspiration for what open space and transparency, interdisciplinary thinking, and collaboration can nurture and create. It has already sparked a very interesting idea. We're talking about the prospect of creating a whole new third school inside the Annenberg School that we're calling the X School, the experimental school, the experiential school. And that really has been generated by the kind of energy and intellectual engagement that we see at the lab. So we need our students to think boldly and dream audaciously. We know our new building will encourage just that. And so it is a priority for the university and for the school to fundraise for the completion of the building by the spring of 2013, and we will be moving into the school in the fall of 2014. So the Annenberg Innovation Lab is a wonderful example of how big ideas can come from small beginnings, from a small conversation over lunch, from a conversation in the hallways at a summit like this one. It really enables the pursuit of possibility. So enjoy the sessions today. They're going to be very cool and a lot of fun. And we are convinced that you will be able to return to your own institutions with new insights, new relationships, and new ideas about innovation that we're confident will help you pursue the important work that you do. So with that, let me turn the platform back to the maestro, Mr. Taplin. Thank you very much, and welcome.
So as Ernie said, this is an art science lab, and I get much of this inspiration from Ann Balsamo's work, who kind of taught me a lot about how art and science are both very inward-looking disciplines, and then they pass down their ideas to design and engineers, which are, needless to say, very outward-looking disciplines. But what doesn't happen so much in universities or in corporations is the artists talking to the scientists. And we've been lucky enough that we just kind of made it happen. There are many young engineers who you'll meet here during the course of the day from Viterbi, and many young artists from all sorts of schools, music schools, art schools, and from the communication school. And we all have found a wonderful way to work together. And when this works, it really is important. So, as Ernie said, we've been really fortunate to have partners, both in the private sector, these firms, who have supported us over the last year and a half, and as well as you've noticed, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, which is our first nonprofit partner, and you'll hear a lot about where we plan to take that in the next year. For me, obviously, I think innovation matters. If you had invested $100,000 in the beginning of the last decade in each one of these firms, your investment would be worth $7 million. If you had invested $1 million in the S&P 500 index, your investment would have been worth $1 million. So needless to say, the 10 firms that are public that we are part of our lab are understanding, and obviously the investors understand, that innovation does matter. We have been fortunate during the last year to raise our visibility. Much of the work we've done in terms of working in Twitter sentiment, the collective intelligence work you're going to see today, much of the work we've done around thinking about new ways of participatory learning and are getting visibility. And because this work and this innovation work is getting visibility, we get asked a lot by corporations, how do you teach innovation strategy? Can you teach innovation? To which we reply from a phrase that Ernie and I heard first at Apple. Culture eats strategy for lunch every day. You can have a strategy of innovation, but if you have no culture of innovation, that strategy will be gone by lunchtime. Now, so we've kind of taken ourselves the task of trying to inculcate a culture of innovation. And this isn't easy because, needless to say, we believe that the key to innovation is the willingness and the ability to be able to fail and move on. So I want you to imagine the very first time you climbed up on that high diving platform at a pool, and your friends were all around, and you walked out to the edge of that platform, and you thought, this is pretty scary. But on the other hand, what was down below but water? And so you understood that even if you didn't do it perfectly, you weren't going to get really hurt. And so all around the lab are posted signs like this. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Move fast and break things, fail harder. And one of the reasons I think the lab has been a success is that in universities, as well as corporations, failure often leads to failing grades. But we don't give grades. Every student who participates in the work at the Innovation Lab is doing it as an extracurricular activity. They're not doing it for credit. And because we don't grade students and we don't fail students, they have the understanding that if, as our board chairman, John Seeley Brown says, if they are part of the knowledge flow, even if their own project doesn't work out, they've learned a lot and they can move on and they can learn to adjust. We do this through two kind of processes. The one we call a think and do tank, which is a day-long exercise, and we've now done it 3 times around a specific subject. And the first part of the day is confined to kind of framing the problems and the issues, and the second part of the day is doing rapid prototyping, trying to actually make stuff. And we've had incredible success with things like working on the second screen or working on participatory media. And you will see some of the results of that today. And one of the things that I think has been fabulous is that we've been able to introduce one of our partners to each other. It's kind of odd for me that large corporations don't talk to each other that much. And so when Intel gets to meet Verizon in one of these think and do tanks, some great things come out of it. Maybe not even things that have anything to do with the lab, but other processes happen. The other process we do is called Crunch. And this is a student competition in which we teach students how to build products, how to build projects, and we put them together in teams. And this process, again, is part of this thing of just do it, just make it. And it's fast, and it's rapid, and there's a designer, there's a code writer, and there's an idea person. So let me just tell you quickly what we're going to do today. You know, we talk about participatory culture, and so this is not going to be the standard conference with a bunch of people up on the stage opining about things. This is going to be a participatory culture conference. So at 9:30, or probably a little bit later, well, we're almost going to be on time, we're going to have a breakout session in which Ann Balsamo, one of our researchers, is going to take you through rethinking urban settings. And the other session is run by Henry Jenkins about experiments in participatory culture. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a second. Then at 11:30, we're going to have the one panel, which is a multi-sector panel, which is working on the ideas that Dean Wilson has about the importance of the quad in the way that we think about building urban structures and what a creative megacity would really look like. And that will be representatives from firms, from startups, from the nonprofit sector, and from the civic sector. And then we'll have lunch. Then after lunch, DJ Spooky is going to give you a real example of art and science coming together, in which technology and music are fused, and we think will be a wonderful performance, and then we'll have a Q&A with DJ Spooky after lunch. And then at 2:15, we will award the Crunch Prize winners of the students. And then at 2:45, Mike Bonifer and his team are going to lead you in an exercise in participatory culture in terms of a game that will really work off the work that we did in the morning and try and create some ideas for the next phase. And you're going to hear more about that later. And then at 4 o'clock, our keynote speaker will be Katie London, who is the new innovator in residence at the lab. So this is the hashtag for the summit. Feel free to tweet on this. I want to finish by thanking the people who have made this incredible year and a half possible. First to Dean Wilson, who had the faith to provide the venture capital for this venture. And to the godfather of the lab, Irving Ladowski-Berger, who, when he came as the first innovator in residence, gave us the spark that we needed to build this lab. And then I really want to thank the chairman of our board, John Seeley Brown, who has been a constantly brilliant guide for me, and to all the members of our board, many of whom are here today. And then I want to thank the people who make the lab such an exciting place to work and are responsible for this wonderful conference. So that would start with Erin Riley, Rochelle Meredith, Sophie Maggi, Dale McDonald, and Kathy Corrine. And then finally to our amazing senior research fellows, Henry Jenkins, Ann Balsamo, Francois Barr, and Gabe Kahn. And all the other research fellows who are here, and the research assistants and the students who make this lab work. We hope you will enjoy this exercise in participatory culture for the next few hours. As I said, in the next session, we're going to split into 2 groups. You're going to see a video, and then at the foot of the stage, 2 of our students will be handing out tickets to the 2 breakout sessions. And there will be a limited number of seats for each session so that they're balanced. And then, and after you've seen the video, come forward, get a ticket. The participatory culture session will stay in, will go into the next room, and the urban settings session will be in this room. So have fun, and let's see the video. So the Innovation Lab has been in existence for only a year and a half, but we see ourselves at a very special time in which we can help large corporations, nonprofits, and others to understand 2 basic big themes that this conference is going to be about. The conventional wisdom was that the city would not be that important because we would all be connected virtually. But we see just the opposite happening. We need to build new tools to help manage cities, to help people in cities work together. And you will see today and in the next few years many interesting new projects that we're doing that involve rethinking urban spaces.
Partour is a mobile urban innovation that connects us back to physical space. So much of technology takes us away from our own streets and neighborhoods. The Partour project uses our own cell phones, our own devices, to connect back to physical neighborhoods and urban spaces. This technology, and really a strategy about community engagement that goes with us, connects us back to each other and to the community organizations that can really accomplish social change and engagement.
Our project is the Long Table. It's a multi-user interactive installation that's designed to be installed in high-traffic public locations like lobbies, museums, even malls. Instead of working within the confines of a small bounded rectangular screen, the space of the Long Table is conceived of as an unbounded landscape with individual interface elements for each individual user. These elements can dynamically reconfigure themselves, connecting between users to encourage social interaction and collaboration.
The 2 most important commodities of the 21st century are time and energy, and traffic unfortunately wastes both of them. So the goal is to collect traffic information real time from road segments with video cameras that collect traffic information and then infer traffic information from the video feeds and provide it to people through various devices like mobile phones and whatnot.
When a crisis hits a community, whether it's a wildfire, flooding, or an earthquake, clear communication is often the first casualty. Crisis Connection is a platform that allows citizens to transmit information about what's happening to them in a moment of crisis. That enables the fire department, ambulances to see where help is needed most. It allows news organizations to understand what's happening in the community. And by putting all this information on a map, it lets every member of that community understand the bigger picture of what's happening to them.
Participatory culture, the space where the person who is involved in being both an observer, a user of culture, a user of content, and a maker of content. Everywhere from the analysis of Twitter sentiment in politics and pop culture to the ability to rethink how education is delivered. This is incredibly important work, and we see it only expanding in the next few years.
The purpose of the Twitter Sentiment Analysis project is to analyze Twitter traffic and to use that to try to understand real-world events, to see how this gives us an indicator of people's attitude, of people's reactions. If this works, if we're managing to get accurate measurements of sentiments or accurate linkage to events, this will give us a new window to understand how events happen, how people react to them, and how their opinions get formed.
Flotsam is a transmedia play experience that encourages both children and adults to step into the world of our oceans, extended into multiple mediums such as a dynamic book or an optic toy. Not only does it encourage joint media engagement, but it also provides us a deeper look into the importance of reading in new ways and fosters both visual and oral literacy as a prime way for reading with each other.
Play stands for participatory learning and you. And we use the term play to describe the centrality of play as one of the most basic human mechanisms for learning. Our schools often treat play as a disruption of the educational process, but in fact, we think it's what motivates educational process. It's what allows kids to take risks, to try new things, to experiment with the materials around them, and not to be worried about failing. With the playground, we're trying to bring those elements of playful learning into the classroom. We're trying to create a toolkit which allows teachers, students, community members to create and share collections with each other.
By far, the fastest growing platform has been the tablet. What we see here at the lab is a tremendous opportunity to build new audiences and new audience experiences by bringing together content from different media into one experience using the second screen, the tablet, and the television together to create all sorts of amazing new experiences for the audience.